Welcome to Package Your Genius. I'm your host, Amanda Miller Littlejohn. I'm a former print journalist turned PR and personal branding pro, and I am here to help high achievers like you bring your genius ideas to life. Whatever gift you have to give the world, I want to be a catalyst for your next genius move. If you're ready to stop overthinking it and start putting yourself out there, you're in the right place. Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of Package Your Genius. I don't know if you can tell, but I am so hyped. I am excited. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. If this is your very first time here, you may not know that we have brand new podcast theme music, which I'll tell you the story real quickly, came about because I decided I wanted a change for my podcast. I realized that my last theme music, while I really liked it, I felt like it was just too mellow for what I am trying to do through these episodes. And I'm trying to inspire you guys. I'm trying to be a catalyst. I want to shake you out of your existing state and get you to think about new things, be willing to try new things, get energized around doing something different, get unstuck. So I wanted something that captured that energy. This whole process of changing my podcast music made me think about changes in general, especially public facing changes that so many of us take forever to do. And I decided to make this change, and I've changed the music before. This is actually probably the fourth music change that I've done. And I was thinking about, does this make my list, is it a turnoff for listeners? Because I know that your podcast music and your intro helps to get people in the mood. They know what they're about to get when they hear that music. It's like, yes, I'm ready to open my mind and start thinking about what Amanda has for me today. I know for my favorite podcast, just hearing the intro music gets me in the mood to hear from that particular host. I know what to expect, and the music is really the first harbinger of what is to come. And so it's very important for your brand, for the podcast brand, that audio music, your voice, that intro, that energy that you're bringing to the beginning really brands your podcast. So I was wondering, am I taking away from my podcast brand by changing this music? Because, there are some podcasts I listen to that have had the same music for 100 episodes. So Patrice Washington of Redefining Wealth has an amazing podcast that I've been listening to since episode number 1. She recently published her 100th episode, and she has the same music that she's had the whole time, and it's amazing. It's really great. It captures her. And so I was thinking about that in terms of podcasts that I love and podcasts that I feel like are doing it well. She's had the same music for 100 episodes, so I guess she got it right from the start. So what does that say about me? And I really started to kind of spiral a little bit around my own choice to make that change. I wondered if it made me seem flighty to keep changing it. Does it make me less credible to keep changing the music? Because again, this is at least my fourth change. There might have been a fifth that I don't even remember, but at least my fourth change in these 111 episodes. So then I thought about some of the things that I love that change in some way. And I know whenever a product, for example, that I love changes its packaging or changes the bottle, if the packaging is different, in that first moment of realizing this package looks different, this bottle looks different, I may say, oh, I wonder why they changed that. It looks different. Or I liked the old way better. But ultimately, my goal is to use the product effectively. And if the product works, which is why I'm purchasing it in the first place, I kind of let those outward changes go. And so, you don't throw away what works, you adapt. I think we all adapt to changes if the underlying thing that's being changed still works. And so if you are struggling with making a change that you feel may communicate that you're not serious, or that you are flighty, or that you're flaky because last week you were offering this service and now you don't even offer it anymore. Now, to some degree, you do need to stick with things or people won't know who you are and what you stand for. But for those of you who've been doing what you do for some time now, whether that's your career or whatever thing you offer to the world. So if that's your writing or your podcast or your events, however you are showing up and bringing that genius to the world, if you do anything long enough, you will change your mind about some part of it. That is just the nature of being creative, of being human, of being someone who evolves and takes in new inputs to improve the things that you're already doing. So it doesn't make you flaky or less credible to change your mind and change how you do things. And I truly believe that if more people were not afraid to change the things that are no longer a fit, we'd have a planet full of much happier and fulfilled people. So, changes. What do you want to change? You can change the services you offer. You can change your podcast music. You can change your political views. You can change your prices. You can change your profession. You can change the audience you serve. You're not chained to any of it. And the pricing piece is fascinating to me because there have been times when I wanted to change my prices and I thought I had to go through some big shift and announcement and, figure out how to communicate that the prices were changing. Of course, they were going up. And, had this internal battle about becoming more premium and charging a premium level, and thought that I had to make incremental changes or thought that I had to make big, huge announcements. And what I have found every single time I've changed my prices, just for those of you who may be considering a price change, is essentially the only thing you need to do is make the change, and the next time you communicate to someone who's interested in purchasing whatever you have, it now has the new price. And beyond that, there's really nothing you can do, because more often than not, the people who are reaching out to you to purchase the thing that you have to sell, they may not even be aware of the old price. So there's no point in you belaboring the fact that the price has changed. It was one price yesterday and today it is different. And that's really all the energy you should give it. If you've been thinking about raising your prices and charging more, I promise you, just do it. There are people out there who are willing to pay the higher price. But that's all I wanted to say about that. But I know pricing is a big issue for people and it's a tough thing to change. So you have the right to change any of these things at any time, especially if you've been doing what you do for a long time. And again, I do believe that to some degree, sticking with something helps you become known for it. It helps to brand that thing in people's minds and attach you and your expertise, your name to whatever it is that you are promoting to people. But if you've been doing it for a long time and things change, that is perfectly fine. I think we all overthink how quickly other people adapt to change. People adapt fast. I think we also overthink how many people are actually even paying attention to our changes. So, for example, with my podcast music, you may register that there's a new song upon listening that first time, and then maybe again on the next episode that I drop that has the new theme music, you may hear that and say, oh, that's right, she has a new song. But after that, you probably aren't even going to remember what the old song sounded like until you go back and listen to an old episode. But you're not going to be sitting there saying, I can't believe the music is different, I'm not listening anymore. If you are here for me and my message and what I have to say, and I don't think something so small as the change in music is going to affect whether or not you listen. But that is how we put weight on the changes that we want to make, because we feel like People are going to completely change their minds about us if we change anything about how we are existing and showing up in the world right now, but that could not be further from the truth. So if a small change may register only in the moment that you make it and maybe shortly thereafter, why are so many of us holding our lives hostage, worrying about how our changes will turn others off? I'm going to say that again. If our small changes only register in the moment that we make our announcement or the moment that people experience that change, if even then, because again, you could be interacting with someone who's brand new. Like this may be your first episode of Package Your Genius, so this is the only theme song you'll ever know. So the change just doesn't matter at all to you. But if those small changes only register in the moment, if that, why are so many of us holding our lives hostage, worrying about how our changes will turn others off? And I want you to be thinking about, as I wrap up here, what changes you've wanted to make in your life, in your business, with your personal brand, with how you show up and offer your gifts, with what you offer, with the profession that you're in, the industry you serve, the company you work for, the clientele that you serve, the prices that you have, whatever it is that you have considered changing, but you haven't. I want you to really dig into your reasons for why you haven't made that change. If you have something that's working and you want to tweak it or change it or shift it, you know you've got skills, you know you can succeed, you're proven, but you want to do something different. You want to step out there and offer something different. You want to make a change. What's keeping you from making that change? What are you afraid of? What's holding you back? And once you make the list of what is holding you back and what has kind of been in your mind that's prevented you from going ahead and pulling the trigger and doing the thing that you already have in your mind and heart to do, I know you're thinking of something as I'm talking. I know you're thinking of some change that you wanted to make and you haven't had the nerve to make. Who are you scared of pissing off? Who are you scared of turning off? What are you scared that's going to happen? And as you examine those fears, ask yourself if they're real, if they're valid, and if you care enough to not make the change. Thanks for joining me on this episode. And let me know your thoughts on the new podcast theme song. It was played on piano and produced electronically by DJ Connor B, also known as Connor Benjamin Littlejohn, who is my son. Please give us a shout out on Instagram or Twitter to let us know what you thought of the theme song and what you are going to change. I'll see you next time.